Sandy has a very specific hobby: reimagining characters who absolutely did not ask for it.
Steampunk goddesses, Regency-era superheroes, my personal favorite, unicorns and couture ball gowns.
Why don't you tell everyone what you've done this time?
I may have turned Tinkerbell into a Lolita fashion icon.
She's not sorry about it.
I'm really not.
Back in February, we kicked off a ball gown sewdown with our friends Barb and Alex from Enchantarium.
I reimagined Lady Amalthea from The Last Unicorn and put her in a ball gown of my own design. And now we're back with a fairy-themed collab.
Be sure to check out the fairies made by our friends Beth Ramsden, Magical Girl Kit Kat, and Enchantarium. Links are in the description.
I knew right away I wanted my next project to involve embroidery. And with all the new attachment options smartdoll's been showing off for Cortex 2, I've been dying to make some wings. Cyber's not really my thing, but embroidered wings would be perfect for a fairy.
Like Tinkerbell.
A lacy, frilly Lolita Tinkerbell.
We may have fallen down a rabbit hole watching Lolita fashion runways from Alice and the Pirates.
I was completely obsessed with these asymmetrical layered skirts in one of the collections. We're talking floaty, uneven hems that felt like falling leaves. They immediately reminded me of Tink's original dress. And once I started connecting the dots, leaf shapes, delicate details, ruffles, it just made sense. She's cute, iconic, a little dramatic, and the perfect excuse to go all in on a fantasy-inspired Lolita makeover. Once I had the idea in my head, I knew the wings were going to be the most technical part. I needed to figure out how they'd attach, where to add structure, but keep them lightweight.
It's always good to front load the hard stuff. What?
I made so many wings. I stitched and restitched until I had a version I liked or ran out of thread.
And that's when Barb DM'd you?
Right. Enchantarium was planning a fairy-themed doll for UK BJDCon in May. Barb asked if I wanted to hold off showing my Tink until then.
Your Tink?
And with Beth Ramsden and Magical Girl Kit Kat joining in too, the band was back together.
So Sandy, what did you do with an extra month of build time?
I started something else.
She started something else.
It's not finished yet, but let's just say I got a little swept up in something dark, shiny, and very romantic-y. When I came back to Tink a few weeks later, I realized I wanted to change directions. I saved the layered skirt idea for another project, but Tink needed something a little sassier. Bloomers. I have drafted a very basic bloomers pattern. Took the measurements, figured out sort of how it was supposed to look. Since they're very baggy, they didn't have to be perfect. For a little spray zipping around Neverland, they're sassy and more practical than a full dress. I drafted them and I cut them out of this leafy floral fabric that I adore. And then I cut some strips so that I can make the ruffles that will layer on top. Oh God, the ruffles. I cut these super thin strips to conserve fabric and then painstakingly folded and pressed the edges. Somewhere around the last strip, I remembered I owned a bias tape maker. A lifesaver when you're dealing with long, skinny strips and don't want to burn your fingers off with the iron. I still have more ruffles to do, but I'm dead. How cute is that? Like, that is freaking adorable. Yeah. For the blouse, I used a pattern from Designs by Jude. What I'm going to do is, obviously, this is a much too modern, like, not Lolita looking blouse, but it does have good sleeves. The shape of it is good, and I can make it just a little bit longer if I want to. I usually start with existing patterns to save time. Modifying a base design can be faster than drafting from scratch. For Tinkerbell, I wanted to raise the neckline and maybe lengthen the bodice a bit.
Did it? Did it save you time?
We'll get to that. I also modified the collar to get a more rounded shape. I used a folded pattern paper since it's symmetrical. I gotta look at this for a quick second. Okay, so this is what it looks like folded. It sounds simple, but spatial reasoning and I are not always on speaking terms. Still, I got it to work. So that's what it looks like now. I've already cut the bodice and the facings for the front of the shirt out of this fabric. I think this I'm going to cut out of like a white. And then the sleeves, I have not decided yet what they're going to be. I think they might also be white, but I'm not positive. I like to take my sewing patterns, and if I think I'm going to use it quite a bit, I actually cover it in packing tape, and then I take an X-Acto knife and I cut out my fisheye darts, and they stay nice and crisp because they have that packing tape there. And then I can just draw my darts in with my pencil. Initially, I played with a chiffon flower trim, but ultimately embroidered some little green leaves on wash-away stabilizer. I may need to make them a little bit smaller. They came out so cute. I used them instead of a traditional bow or ascot.
I love this. The leaves are really starting to hit the blend of Lolita and Tinkerbell.
The overdress is the really key part. Since the blouse fits so well, I took the same base pattern and hacked it. I removed the closures in the front and joined them together, changed the shape of the neckline because I didn't need the collar, then I made the back open instead of the front. Why? Because wings. Next, I started with a muslin test. Yeah, no. She looks like she should have on a sash and the hat and be bringing me cookies. So I decided to shorten the waist and try out a leafy green satin to get away from the uniform look. Nothing wrong with Girl Scouts, just don't want my Tinkerbell to be one.
Was that when the embroidery idea came in?
Exactly. The satin was just overwhelmingly shiny. So I digitized a pattern and added embroidery to break it up. Turning the pattern to embroidery files is a lot of work, but once it's done, you get such clean stitching lines. In the end, the embroidery looked great, but it was still too much shine. Yeah, it just doesn't work. It looks like Girl Scout goes to prom now. So I decided to start again and scrap the blouse.
Oh.
I know, but it wasn't working. I went back to cotton for the overdress. I reshaped the neckline again, this time to a sweetheart shape, and added the floof and flowers that make me happy. This is our party and we do what we want. This is our party and we do what we want.
Good Lord.
Once the overdress was done, I moved on to the underskirt. I have this tube that I made of the green sheer fabric that I used on the top. And when I made the green sheer leaves, I just sort of bunched the fabric and made these like little leaf shapes and then stitched them down. So when I went to make this, I thought this is going to be an underskirt for her, and I thought I was going to just gather it up, but when you gather it up, it's just still kind of straight and floppy. So like even if I did it on the machine or made, you know, like not just pleating it, but actually gathering it, it's just kind of straight and just kind of hangs there. So I think what I actually need to do is bunch it this way. Hopefully I have a long enough piece, but I think I need to do it like this. And then it will go underneath here as like a sort of a leafy piece that comes out and flounces the skirt out more. I think that's gonna work. We're just gonna have to try it. Put a pin there. There may be some technical better way to do this. I don't know what it is. This is what happens when Sandy plays inside her brain. And I think that's gonna work. Now to do this more neatly and get it stitched down. I think I like it. Once that was done, I went back to the wings. Okay, so this is my sampler. I basically knew what colors I pretty much wanted to use at this point, but I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted them. I feel pretty good about her flight trail being in the green because it makes sense, and then the gold accents here. So pretty much this is good, which will be echoed down here. This won't be green, this will be gold. I haven't decided yet. I need to get some opinions on whether the outside edge will be gold or it will be white. Each side took about an hour. So 4 hours total, assuming nothing went wrong.
How many iterations had you done before this point?
Probably at least 10, 15.
So many wings.
I embellished the wings with beads and rosettes. Some beads were too bulky, but the smaller ones worked nicely. I had to whip stitch the two sides together so they'd align correctly. Because the fabric is translucent, any misalignment would show.
How did you figure out attaching the wings?
I tried my original plan, which was to do an elastic, like a bra type wrap around her here. And then I attached the wings to this, but they just didn't balance the way that I wanted. They were a little too floppy. So I tried adding some snaps to the top, which was a little better. It held them more straight and against the body, but I just wasn't happy with the way it looked because when you turned to the side, you could see the attach point. And it's really kind of a shame because I really like the way this dress looks in the back. I made a wire piece that fits inside the wings and ran into the bodice. I tested a few placements and used tape to hold it while I figured it out. These pieces can actually go into the sides of the wings because I can just open the side seam of the wings back up. This might work. When I tried it on the doll, I really loved how the back of the dress looked.
What are we left with? Shoes?
I borrowed a pair of white ones from our doll wardrobe and decorated them to fit. The color swap, white shoes with green accents instead of the other way around, totally worked. A mix of beads, rosettes, and gold bows tied it all together. The silver buckles clashed. I wanted ribbon straps, but nothing looked right, so I embroidered new straps to match, naturally. Time to think about a wig. I did find this more yellow blonde wig. It does have a lot of hair. Tried a bunch of styles and finally got pancaked braids to work. I'm currently in the process of adding in embellishments to fill in the holes, as you do. Actually using a needle and thread to hold some of these pieces in place. I intended to show you all the process, but it was just too much. I actually threw my back out doing this because I'm hypermobile, and if I lean the wrong way or stand the wrong way for too long, I wreck my lower back styling a wig. The hairstylists, you have my respect.
So she's all done. Let's take a look. She's really cute. I gotta say.
I love the bloomers.
I don't like to say I told you so, but I tell you all the time. Bloomers, like not related to this, just I wasn't sure how it was gonna read like Lolita as much as like those big poofy short skirt dresses with big, petticoats and stuff under them. I like this.
Yeah, this is a version of Lolita too.
I love this like cabbage dress that you made.
The normal Tinkerbell wears leaves, so we just made her look like she's kind of a cabbage, or cauliflower, because these kind of remind you of cauliflower, and then it's got the green going around it.
You gave Tinkerbell cauliflower butt?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I didn't make the stockings, I used ones that we had.
I mean, you made these little garters, right?
Yeah, I made the garters. They're fabric elastic ruffles and then elastic here to be the suspender portion. The wig was just a lot.
It's a lot of hair and it's a bit heavy. I think if we had a little bit more time, I would love to have seen a thinner wig and doing more styling.
Yeah, no, I think the next one I want to try and do a custom.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the next big project should have a custom wig.
Okay.
Whenever that is.
The wings, I love what you did with the little back of them.
Any chance to put on cute little floofy things, I'm happy.
Yeah. We just need to figure out like a more reliable way to keep these on.
Yeah, like I said, with Cortex, he's got the opportunity with that splot in the shoulder blades, so we just need to figure out a way to rig them.
I wonder, you know, with cyberpunk dolls coming out, you know, what a fairy version of that's gonna look like.
I've already been thinking about it.
Of course you have.
Yeah. Don't forget to watch the videos from Magical Girl Kit Kat, Beth Ramsden, and Enchantarium. The links will be in the description. I will say one of the things I really liked about this project was we all did really different fairies with completely different wings. So what character would you like to see me reinterpret again? And what dress style should I go for next?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. And hey, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. There's always another transformation brewing.
Or unraveling.
Either way, that's it for us.
Bye.
Bye.